The ocean roared. A beast unchained. But it was his silence that drowned me. General Elias Thorne stood on the cliff's edge. His broad shoulders hunched against the wind. Scars crisscrossing his face like a map of battles won and lost. I, a merfolk named Kale, watched from the shallows. My heart a traitor that pulsed for a man no one dared approach. The war had ended, but its echoes lingered in Port Riven, a jagged coastal town in Northern California where the cliffs seemed to claw at the sky. Elias was a hero, they said, the man who'd turned the tide against the raiders from beyond the horizon. Yet, the townsfolk whispered of his solitude, his coldness, how even the bravest sailors avoided his gaze. They called him cursed, marked by the sea's wrath. I didn't believe in curses. I believed in the way his eyes, gray as storm clouds, searched the waves like he was waiting for something or someone. Beneath the surface, my people warned me. Stay away, my sister Lyrian hissed, her scales glinting like emeralds in the deep. Humans destroy what they don't understand. But I'd seen him, night after night, standing alone on that cliff. I'd felt the ocean hum when he was near, a melody only I could hear, whispering, "He's yours." So I swam closer, my tail slicing through the currents, until the rocks were sharp beneath my hands and his shadow loomed above me. That first night, I didn't dare speak. I clung to the jagged outcrop, salt stinging my skin, and watched him. His hands, calloused and steady, gripped a worn journal, its pages fluttering in the wind. He wrote something, then tore the page free and let it drift into the sea. It sank past me, ink bleeding. I am not enough. My chest tightened. I wanted to shout, to tell him he was more than enough. But my voice stayed trapped in my throat. Instead, I sang a soft, wordless melody that carried across the waves. His head snapped up, eyes scanning the darkness. For a moment, I thought he saw me. Then he turned and walked away. The next night, I returned. And the next. Each time, I sang. And each time, he lingered longer, his gaze softer, as if the ocean itself was coaxing him to listen. My people noticed. Lyrian's warnings grew sharper, and the elders' glares heavier. Merfolk and humans didn't mix not since the Great Rift, when our kind retreated to the deep to escape their wars. But Elias wasn't like the others. He didn't hunt us or fear us. He just stood there, as if the sea was his only friend. On the seventh night, I couldn't stay silent. The moon hung low, silver light dancing on the waves, and I pulled myself onto a flat rock, my tail shimmering under the stars. "Why do you come here?" I called, my voice trembling but clear. Elias froze, his hand halfway to his journal. For a moment, I thought he'd run. Instead, he stepped closer, his boots crunching on the gravel. "Who's there?" His voice was rough, like the cliffs themselves. But there was no anger in it, only curiosity, and something softer, like hope. I hesitated, my fins twitching nervously. "Kale," I said. I'm from the sea." He squinted into the darkness, his eyes finding mine. I expected fear, disgust, the things my people said humans felt for us. But Elias only tilted his head, as if trying to solve a puzzle. "You're real," he murmured, almost to himself. I thought I was imagining the singing. My heart leapt. "You heard me." Every night, He took another step, close enough that I could see the scars on his cheek, the way they curved like rivers. Why do you sing? Because of you, I wanted to say. Because the ocean told me you're mine. But I only managed. Because you looked lonely. He laughed. A low, broken sound. Lonely's a kind word for it. He sat on the edge of the cliff, legs dangling over the drop. And for the first time, I saw him not as the scarred general, but as Elias, a man carrying a weight I couldn't yet name. We talked until dawn. He told me of battles, of men he'd lost, of a town that revered him but kept their distance. I told him of the deep, of coral cities and songs that held our history. I didn't tell him about the ocean's whisper, or the way my pulse raced when he smiled. Not yet. But when the sun rose, painting the sky in hues of fire, he reached out, his fingers brushing the air between us. Will you come back? He asked. Every night. I promised. The weeks that followed were a dance of stolen moments. I'd wait for dusk, then swim to the cliff where Elias would be, his journal in hand, his eyes brighter each time he saw me. We spoke of everything and nothing off the stars, the tides, the way the world seemed to hold its breath when we were together. I learned the shape of his laugh, rare but warm, and the way his scars told stories he wouldn't share. He learned to hum my songs, his voice clumsy but earnest, and each note felt like a thread tying us closer. But the world wasn't kind to threads like ours. Port Riven buzzed with rumors. Fishermen swore they'd seen a merfolk near the cliffs, their voices thick with fear. It's a bad omen, they muttered in the taverns, their eyes darting to Elias. He's brought something unnatural here. The townsfolk didn't know it was me, but their suspicion clung to him like damp fog. He never told me, but I saw the way his shoulders tensed when he walked through town, the way conversations hushed as he passed. Beneath the waves, my people were no better. Lyrian cornered me one night, her eyes blazing. You're risking everything, she said. The elders know you've been seen. They're talking of exile. Kale. Exile. I wanted to argue, to tell her Elias was worth it. But the word exile lodged in my throat. To be cast out was to lose the sea, my home, my family. Yet the thought of losing Elias felt just as unbearable. I didn't tell him about the elders. I couldn't bear to see his hope dim. Instead, I swam to him each night. My song's bolder. My touch is braver. One evening, as the wind howled and the waves crashed, I pulled myself onto his rock and reached for his hand. His fingers were warm, rough, human, and they closed around mine like they'd been waiting forever. Kale, he whispered, his voice barely audible over the storm. I don't know what this is, but I don't want it to stop. Then don't let it, I said, my heart pounding. I leaned closer, my lips brushing his, and the world fell away. The ocean roared its approval. Its whispers louder now. He's yours. He's yours. For that moment, we were untouchable, two souls defying the boundaries of land and sea. But the storm wasn't just in the sky. The next night, I arrived to find Elias pacing, his journal abandoned on the rocks. They know, he said, his voice tight. The townsfolk. They think I'm consorting with something evil. They're talking about driving me out. My stomach twisted. Because of me. No, he said quickly, his eyes fierce. Because they're afraid of what they don't understand. But I'm not. I'm not afraid of you. Kale. I wanted to believe him, but fear was a tide I couldn't outswim. That night, as I dove back into the sea, I felt the elders' eyes on me, their whispers colder than the deep. You've gone too far, they said. End this, or we will. The choice loomed like a wave about to break. Elias or the sea. My heart or my home. I swam to the cliff the next night, determined to tell him everything, to find a way to fight for us. But when I surfaced, he wasn't alone. Torches flickered on the shore, and voices angry. Human voices echoed through the night. Show yourself. A man shouted, his silhouette looming against the firelight. We know you're out there. Elias stood between them and the water, his sword drawn but lowered. Leave it be, he growled. There's nothing here for you. Nothing. A woman spat. You've brought a curse on us. Thorn. The sea's restless. The fish are gone because of it. I sank lower, my heart racing. They didn't see me, but their hatred was a weight, pressing me into the dark. Elias didn't waver. The sea's always been restless. He said, You're just looking for someone to blame. The crowd surged forward, their torches casting wild shadows. I wanted to scream, to pull him into the water and swim far from their anger. But before I could move, a hand grabbed my arm. Lyrian, her face pale with fear. They'll kill you, she whispered. And him. Come back to the deep. Kale. Now. I tore free, my eyes locked on Elias. He was still facing them, his voice steady, but I saw the tremor in his hand, the weight of a man who'd fought too many battles alone. I couldn't leave him. Not like this. I surged onto the rock, my tail gleaming under the torchlight. The crowd gasped, some stumbling back, others raising their weapons. Stop! I shouted, my voice carrying over the waves. I'm not your enemy. I love him. The words hung in the air, raw and true. Elias turned, his eyes wide, and for a moment, the world was just us. Then the crowd erupted, their shouts drowning out the sea. Monster! Kill it! A spear sailed past, grazing my arm, and pain seared through me. Elias roared, stepping in front of me, his sword raised now. Enough! He bellowed. You want to fight? Fight me. But you won't touch him. The crowd hesitated, their fear of Elias warring with their hatred of me. I grabbed his arm, my voice shaking. Elias, come with me. Into the sea. They can't follow us there. He looked at me, his scars stark in the firelight, and I saw the battle in his eyes, not with the crowd, but with himself. I can't, he said, his voice breaking. I'm not like you. Kale. I don't belong down there. And I don't belong up here, I said, tears mixing with the salt on my cheeks. But I'd rather drown trying than lose you. Something shifted in him then, a spark of the man who'd faced armies and storms. He dropped his sword, his hand finding mine. Then we'll find a way, he said. Together. The crowd surged again, but the ocean answered first. A wave, massive and unyielding, crashed over the shore, dousing the torches and scattering the mob. I pulled Elias into the water, his body heavy but willing, and we dove into the dark. The sea enveloped us. Its whispers now a song. He's yours. You're his. I didn't know if we'd survive, if the deep would accept him, or if the surface would forgive me. But as his arms tightened around me, I knew we'd fight for every moment, every breath, every chance to be us. The ocean had spoken, and we listened.